Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Jessica Danielle. I do everything makeup related. I do story time, so I do makeup, like videos, project pan, haul videos of various things, story time videos, planner videos, things like that. So if you're interested, give it a like and thumbs up if you haven't already, and let's get into this Get Ready With Me story time. I'm coming from my Ipsy video, so if you haven't watched that, go watch that, where I actually get a palette. It's a couple years old, so granted, of course, that's why I'm getting on a deal, but it's originally $75. It's the Natasha Denona My Dream, so first Natasha Denona palette ever, and I'm gonna get ready with using this and also the other palette I got in the box, just to see how it wears for like travel purposes, just because I'd rather take something small like this on my trip to North Carolina in July than something bigger, you know, or like something that could be kind of like an all over. So I might actually be able to use some of these as like a contour palette maybe, instead of taking my stuff, my project pan items. So, and I'm also gonna try some of the items from the box as well. I didn't get to because I was like, I'll just keep this short. But I had a brush as well, so always like a new brush, a liner, and a mascara, and also the patches. So we're gonna take these off. I really do like these. These are the Levitate Beauty. I'm gonna definitely be purchasing another set of these because they actually came out of the container really cold, and I've never really experienced that. And they were out in the sun. So the bag and everything was out in the sun, so that is awesome. What is gonna be the topic? I was thinking of like the craziest stuff at my work. I do work at a junior high, and this last year, some pretty crazy stuff, and I'm trying to think of like what would be the best possible story. If I look down or anything. On so many calls. I'm getting like so many calls today. I think I'm gonna use this for one eye and then the Natasha Denona for another. So I'm gonna just get into the, if I look down, I'm looking at the mirror or whatever, what have you. So we're gonna just, I'm just gonna use this shade for both though. I'm trying to think of like the craziest. I could tell you guys about the girl that bullied me in elementary school. Worst bully on the planet. I was getting ready to do this one last time, but then I had like another story and I was like, I'll just tell that one instead. But this one, so I was in 4th grade and I had a friend from, I had a friend in kindergarten, and then she moved away in the class, you know, because you end up like being besties with people because you're in the same class and everything, you know, or because my school had 2 different kindergarten classes, so at the time, I don't know how it is now, you know, with populations and things of like the kids. But so she moved away, and she actually lived like a couple houses down actually, which is funny thinking back. And then I met a girl, I think it was it 2nd grade? I'm trying to think of my friends in like elementary school. I think we just like hung out because like the people in their class, you know, were together. I'm just gonna combine them actually. I'm gonna take the shade in the crease, and then we'll go with the combine the 2. So I'm trying to think if I met this friend, because we ended up reconnecting in high school. She was my friend from I think 2nd or 3rd grade. We ended up ironically reconnecting in high school, and then recently reconnecting again as adults, but kind of weirdly in a way where I was like, okay, I'm like down for a friendship, but then it just seemed like, I don't know, it was weird. Like, oh, I want to reconnect, but then like I was like, okay, I feel like hanging out, and then it never really surfaced, so I guess not in a way. And then she ended up having to move because of custody things with her parents. So, come 4th grade, I think it was in the middle of 4th grade, I think. And so I didn't really like have a friend. I just like hung out with my class basically until this girl, we're gonna call her Mary. And she was nice. We hung out and everything. And then my memory isn't that too great when it comes to elementary school. I had a lot of like personal family stuff happening at the time, so maybe that's why, in relation to that with my brother and things and hospital visits and things like that. So I think kind of your mind kind of blocks it out, you know, in that fashion. So just saying. But I do remember her, and we were really close, and we liked hanging out. I'm gonna take this brush and maybe use some of the peach tones, like mix the, sorry, hi guys, you guys are seeing it, see yourselves, the peach tones basically. To the point where I think my parents, I don't know if they paid, but we did like going to Disneyland growing up. We went a lot for my birthday when it was cheap, and also they had days, if you had a child that was part of regional center, you could get discounted tickets. So my mom would always go and get tickets because we had my brother that's in a wheelchair and everything, and he was regional center and all that. So we would always go at least once a year. And so we took her with us, and then her family ended up coming afterwards. So it all seemed good, like, okay. Which is why it seems weird how it turned. I still to this day, I'm like, I don't understand. You know what I mean? How you're like, even as like we look back at like things as a child that happened, and you're like, but why? Some things I just feel like, I don't know why. Some people say it's like bullying is because of like being like jealous, and I'm like, that's a weird reaction to being jealous, you know? How people always say that, and I'm like, that's like the weirdest thing though. So after that though, it's like when things like started to shift, it was very weird. Because we'd be like playing on the little, they had this like, it wasn't monkey bars, it was like a playset thing, and what do I want to do? I think I'm gonna do the darker brown in the corner here. I think that was like the first time, I'm trying to remember like the first time I was like, huh, that's weird. We were playing on a playset, and we were talking about the daddy-daughter dance because we did that yearly, where the daughters would go with their dads, come back to the school on a specific day at night, and they'd have like dinner and dancing, and it was fun and everything. We were talking about it, and she was like, it was very weird, but she was like, oh, what are you gonna do, wear pants? And I was like, talk about like shaming somebody for what they wear, because I always wore pants because I was more comfortable in that than, I always like hated dresses, but like back then for special occasions I would wear dresses, you know. Now as an adult, I'm gonna wear dress pants, honestly. It's more comfortable in a dress because I don't feel comfortable in dresses. I don't like them. You know, like whatever. But I was like, I remember like I stopped and I was like, no, I'd wear a dress, like, you know. But it was like the tone in which she said it, I was like, that's a weird thing to say when it's a dance. And because, you know, girls in pants at formal affairs was not a thing in the early 2000s, apparently. I don't know. At least for like little girls, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I kind of wish they had that back in the day, because that would have been way better, honestly, than the dress option. So it was like the first thing where I was like, that's a little funky to say, but okay. And So, go to the Daddy Darnans. I think I see her there and everything too. And she was in my class too, which was like, okay. It was one thing if like she was in a different class, you know? But like we were friends because we were in the same class. You know what I mean? So I just still find this weird to this day. And so, and then it was like suddenly like she became distant and I didn't know why. And then there was this new girl in the class and I ended up like hanging out with her more because the other girl, Mary, got distant and weird and like didn't want to play with me anymore. I know the politics of elementary school. Like what the fuck? You think about it, it's like what the fuck? Which I guess I can get more into that like later. There was a time, because I can get into that in another story time. Legit, a girl had money. I don't know why he had money. Left it to me and said I needed to watch money. Where I'm like, why are you giving me this money? I still to this day. And then I ended up losing it because, of course, I'm a child. And then I got in trouble for it. But it's like, why are you leaving money, your own money, to another child to watch? If you want me to give into that one, I can't. Because I'm still like, what? But yeah. So, like, the Mary got distant and then there was this new girl. She was only there for like a year, honestly. When I'm thinking back to it, she was like not even there for like 5th or 6th grade. She was there for 4th grade and then she like moved. So new girl. And there was been a couple of girls that were new and like befriended them and stuff, you know. And I'm trying to think what I want to do for the, I do want to do this for the lid. So I'm gonna do. So I befriended a lot of the girls that were newer and I just wanted to have friends, you know? And they were in my class, so it was easy. And hung out with them. And then they ended up getting to be friends with some other girls in our class. So I ended up being friends with them more. Because there was like, was it a clique? It was kind of like a group or a clique that I didn't really like hang out with that much. But then like, the new girl that moved and got into our class was like, hey, like when you aren't here or whatever, because again my brother was in the hospital a lot, so a lot of times I would not go to class. I mean, at one point I had to go back, you know, but like because of certain things I like was out because my parents were like at the hospital like for months straight, honestly, switching and then trying to like had me still go to school, but it was like traumatic, and I can get into it if you want me to in another one. But yeah, so because of that, I wasn't there a lot, and the one girl was like, I don't want to like start something, ironically. But she was like, yeah, she's been like saying stuff about you when you aren't here, and I was like, why? And that was like the only instance. And like, so she wasn't saying stuff. The only thing I ever heard was like the pants comment where I was like, okay. But she would like say stuff about me. I still don't know to this day what the hell she was talking about. But she was apparently bad mouthing me. Worst bully ever, right? Let's be a bully, but like behind her back. And I found out about that and I like got like upset because I'm like, still to this day, I'm like, yeah, because we took you to Disneyland and you're gonna, you know. But it gets even better because then I think they told the teacher. They told our teacher and our teacher was like, what? She was cool. Like out of like my elementary school years, the ones I really liked were my 1st and 2nd grade teacher and my 4th and my 5th and 6th, because that was our student teacher in 4th grade. Or in 4th grade he ended up being the 5th and 6th grade teacher for us. And yeah, they ended up telling the teacher, and the teacher was like, what? She was like, it was like a few days after that, because she called us outside to like, hey, I need to talk to you. And I was like, okay. And she was like, I heard that like you've been getting bullied and I just want to get like who's involved, you know, that type of thing, to figure out what was going on. And I was like, okay. And I was just like, I think at first I was like confused because I was like, I didn't know the scope of who was bullying me. So I called out that entire it group because she ended up being part of that. And then they were like, no, like we were like hearing stuff from her about you when you weren't here. And I was like, oh, okay, they weren't involved, so like put them back in the classroom, whatever. Because I was like, I didn't know who, like, what the scope, you know, of it was, basically. And so, put this in the inner corner. Brought Mary out, and our teacher was like, oh, so then like hearing from other students that you've been like making fun of Jessica when she isn't here. Because, like, of course you would when I'm not able to defend myself. You know what I mean? When I'm, like, not able to defend myself because I'm not there and I'm not hearing it. And did I just ruin this look? Maybe I did. Maybe I just ruined this look with this eyeshadow. Let's see. Did I? I'll just make it really glittery then. If I did. And so I was just like confused because I'm like still like, why? I was still sitting there as the kid, like, why did you make fun of me when I wasn't here? Like, I don't know if they knew the extent. They probably didn't know the extent, honestly. But you know how like parents talk and everything. Actually that's fine. And so she started crying. This would be the funniest thing ever. And was like, okay, well, if you're gonna do that, you're gonna go to the principal's office. And how we were all afraid of the principal back then because, you know, going to the principal's office, you didn't get treats. Unless you got, like, one time I went, I was scared beyond belief, and I ended up getting an award the one time. So she was crying, and the teacher was like, go to the principal's office, I'm gonna walk you. Because we had our student teacher. So I went back in the classroom, which, retrospectively, you think I would have had to gone with. But I think that she took the ones that told me about it and like what she said to the office with her, if I'm remembering correctly. And I had to stay in the classroom because our student teacher was there, so he like held down the fort when our teacher had to like go and reprimand this girl. And she was crying. It was the funniest thing. I was like, this girl decided to bully me, and now she's the one crying. The irony of it all. So that was 2004, basically. Come to find out, I'm on Facebook. Like, it had to be like when I was in college. So like between 2012 and 2016, I'm trying to remember. And I'm just like on Facebook, and like back then the friend request thing would pop up, and because the notifications were different on Facebook. And I saw her name, but I didn't get who this was. And I guess when you could like friend request, I think I did. And then she immediately was like, oh hey, like, do you remember who I am? And that's when I was like, wait. Well, like, and she did like a smiley, winky, whatever. And I was like, oh my god. It's, in my head I was like, it's this bitch that made fun of me in high school. Or not high school, sorry. Freudian slip. I didn't have a bully in high school. Thank goodness. I was too busy playing sports. And I was like, this bitch is gonna friend request me. Like nothing happened, which is like weird how people do that. I can also go into a whole story time too about this other lady that I met during the pandemic that like did the same thing. Like I can definitely tell you guys about that one if you guys want to know. Which my friend who I'm going to see in North Carolina can back me up because she was kind of involved in it. I can tell you a whole thing about that. Like craziness. I can do that as a story time. It was crazy. She crazy. But I was like, this crazy is gonna like really think that I don't remember. And so I like immediately like unfriended her and like deleted the message, and I like blocked her, I think. Cause like really, and it's like I still don't understand why. She lives like also right around the corner from me too. I don't know if she ever moved or anything, but I remember that as well. Like a block or so away. Like, craziness, you know? So when people are like, oh, they're just like jealous, and it's like, that makes no sense to me. Okay, now I remember this. I remember this mascara. This is actually really good. So yeah, that was the time I was bullied in elementary school, and it was like the worst bully ever because she couldn't even bully properly. Let's be fair. And she cried about it, and she probably played the victim or something. And she thought I would just forget after so many years. Did a friend request me, so. And I fear, I don't know if I like this look or not, but I do like this palette. And I think actually this is a good one for travel with the shades and stuff. You just have to build it up basically. Sorry, my phone got full. So I was in the middle of saying that I did like the liner. These palettes are actually really good. I'm thinking maybe I'll take that with me traveling. I don't know. I do like this mascara, so when I get done with this one, definitely gonna get full size. And I do like this liner. I'm gonna see how the longevity is. And I like the, this has now become like a partial review of the Ipsy bag. But that was how I had like the worst bullet. Alright, so my phone keeps on saying. Alright, so that's the end of the video. Sorry guys, my phone keeps on saying it's too full of battery, but hope you guys like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye guys.